You know, traders expend a lot of energy developing a knowledge base that allows them to really work a trading methodology. They work hard, they develop lots and lots of knowledge, they develop tools, they do all this stuff and they feel confident about what they should be able to do. And then yet, all that knowledge that they've learned in a classroom that works so well when capital is not at risk, they get into trading with capital at risk, and suddenly, all that knowledge flies out of the window. And they go, what happened? What on earth just happened? Well, the truth is that they don't understand emotion very well. If they understood emotion differently than the way they understand it right now, they would be able to understand that all that knowledge is only useful when the emotions are under management. Unfortunately, what happens in trading is those emotions are not under management. And what happens is that the moment they hit the risk, all that biological programming and psychological programming that was kind of hidden in the back suddenly arises to the front and takes over the trading mind. And all of a sudden, you can't get into trades, you can't pull the trigger, you can't take a loss, you start feeding bad trades, or you jump into trades you shouldn't be in. All that stuff when in a rational mind, you would know better. So the bottom line, at the very core, a trader really has to develop a better understanding of emotion and himself and his ability to perceive and think and act in an environment of uncertainty. The first thing is, let's start with emotion. What do you think an emotion is? Is it a feeling? Well, in neurobiology, an emotion would be considered a biological action potential whose purpose is to coordinate activity between the organism and the environment that it's part of. You go, whoa, what's that all about? It's not psychological. It is literally about how the brain adapts and reacts to changes in the environment. At the very moment, if you get that definition of emotion as a biological action potential, how does an emotion show up? For vast amounts of time, what they've learned is that an emotion shows up at any moment that there is a disruption to a standard sensorial pattern that the brain has already created. Now, out of a textbook and into trading, you would actually see that like this. If you have problems pulling the trigger, it's literally when everything's fine, and then all of a sudden a trade starts taking shape. You start getting confirmation. It's at that moment that there is a disruption to the standard sensorial pattern. And in that disruption, an emotion, a biological action potential that coordinates activity between the organism and the environment, is going to take place. It's only a matter of which one. And this is when you begin to understand that there is no such thing as freedom from emotion. What there is, and what can be developed, is freedom of emotion. Life is full of challenges, and nothing typifies that more than trading, where there are constant challenges and you don't know how things are going to turn out. No amount of control, no amount of force is going to change that. You don't know what's going to happen, so you're losing control over outcome, which we kind of have an illusion about. And ultimately, then, we get reactive emotions showing up. That's what we have to alter. Most traders lose before they ever begin. They wake up, they go through their process of getting ready for trading in a mood where either anxiety or fear is in the background, and they keep trying to push it away, ignore it. Yet the more they resist that emotion, the more the emotion persists. So you begin to recognize, I can't ignore it because it's going to persist. I need to start looking at how do I manage this emotion. The emotion is going to arise and trigger anytime there is a change in status, happening all the time in trading. Now, when we begin to look at the components of an emotion, it's what gives us great hope about being able to manage it. The components are this. First, arousal. Arousal is experienced as tightening of muscles, holding of breath, fixation on the screen, or when you begin to feel your heart rate racing. What you're experiencing is the revving up of an emotion getting the trader ready for survival action. At this point, you're no longer in a rational mind. The emotion is growing to take you into action where you don't have to think. It's about survival. This is also the place where change can happen. Second, feeling. Feeling is not touchy-feely.
When you feel an emotion, you are literally experiencing the chemistry of that emotion in your body and brain. And when you feel it, it alters the way you perceive and the way you think. This is when traders say, "I got hijacked. I don't know what happened." What happened is you didn't see the emotion at the arousal stage and it hit the switch. Then you have chemistry, cortisol in anxiety, dopamine and adrenaline in overconfidence, and that takes over thinking. Your job as a trader is to manage that emotion that gives rise to the thinking you bring into the moment of trading. Third, motivation. Motivation is attack or avoid, the fight or flight response. But what you want is approach motivation, calm, confident, disciplined thinking. You've taken the same emotional energy that was building for fight or flight and redirected it into focus, curiosity, calmness, and discipline. Fourth, beliefs. Beliefs are tied to those emotions. What you see in your trading account is actually a reflection of your ability to manage uncertainty. If your equity curve is rising, your beliefs about managing uncertainty are effective. If it's stagnant or falling, your emotional meaning and beliefs about uncertainty are not effective. Trading is probability. It's uncertainty. There's a chance of winning and losing. Successful traders focus on process rather than outcome. To do that, you need emotional control, not through willpower, but through emotional intelligence. When you start learning to manage emotion and observe your body, you can see the signs of arousal. Through diaphragmatic breathing and muscle relaxation, you can reduce the intensity of the emotion. You can shift from fear to calm alertness, the trading zone. But emotional regulation only gets you to the door of the mind. You still have to open the door and examine the beliefs that block your potential. Often, traders discover beliefs like inadequacy, I can never win, not being deserving of success, powerlessness when trades move against them. The real question becomes, what beliefs do I hold about my ability to manage uncertainty? Ultimately, successful traders recognize something important. They never had control over outcome. What they do have control over is the process of trading and the mind they bring into the moment of performance. That is the difference between a probability-based mind and a survival-based mind. And the traders who succeed are the ones willing to do the internal work required to build that mind.